welcome to Raja Yoga presentations. We start with our salutations to the great Yoga Master Swami Vivekananda. Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine Tapaharine. Our salutations to that great Yoga Master Swami Vivekananda, an embodiment of existence, consciousness and bliss. And let our salutations bring health, harmony and peace everywhere. Raja Yoga is the popularly known as Patanjali Yoga. This is based on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Sutras are formulae or aphorisms. In his 196 aphorisms, he gives the whole dimension of Raja Yoga, and Raja Yoga is meant to gain mastery over the mind. Patanjali Yoga has been named as Raja Yoga by Swami Vivekananda. We have selected 18 verses from Bhagavad Gita to bring in the whole dimension of Raja Yoga and arrange them in 8 different phases. We call them as the Raja Yoga Shloka Sangraha. These 18 verses, initially after the opening prayer, starts off with introduction, then methods of Raja Yoga, hurdles and solutions, qualities and outcome, and advanced Raja Yoga. And what happens to Raja Yoga at the time of death, and what is the goal that Raja Yoga reaches. These are the 8 dimensions on which the Raja Yoga has been developed. We present this as a schematic, giving the whole perspective of Raja Yoga. The first phase of Raja Yoga starts when we cut the usual natural process of evolution, using our freedom, using our discrimination power, and start acceleration of the process of evolution by using the 8-stepped yoga called Ashtanga Yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara. The first 5 limbs called as Bahiranga Yoga, indirect way to gain mastery over the mind. Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi called Antaranga Yoga, the direct control and mastery over the mind. And many people think Samadhi is the end, but according to Patanjali, it is the real beginning to higher and advanced Raja Yoga, in which he describes various higher layers of superconsciousness until one reaches the ultimate goal called Kaivalya, and it is also the moksha of the Vedanta or the Upanishads. Let us start off with the prayer, which is a wonderful verse which gives us almost the whole dimension of our Indian wisdom. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanthi Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sanga Padakramo Upanishadaihi Gayantiyam Gayantiyam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasam Pashyantiyam Yoginaham Yasyantanna Vidussura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. We offer our salutations to that pure consciousness called Brahman, that is the ultimate reality. And this Brahman is the one that is beyond the 5 layers of existence, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnana, Anandamaya koshas. and it is our real home, it's our original existence called Brahman, called moksha. It's from where come the Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, the trinities of creation, sustenance and destruction, the three cosmic entities or forces. Then down below come the Indra, Varuna, Rudra, Marut and Agni, so are all in the Manomaya Kosha. Then we have the Pranamaya Kosha, in which Gandharvas, Yakshas, Kinnaras. Down below is the human beings and other living beings on earth, Annamaya Kosha. This is the five-layered existence of the whole creation, starting from the Anandamaya Kosha down to the Annamaya Kosha. And this is the object of prayer, the pure consciousness called Brahman, and it is this all-pervasive pure consciousness, reality, that even Varuna, Rudra, Indra, Marut, all gods and goddesses offering their salutations and worship. This knowledge base is contained in Vedas. Vedas is the treasure house of knowledge, contained in the four Vedas, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samveda and the Atharva Veda, and the supporting documents, Vedangas, Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chandas and Jyotish, and a very special Vedic chanting technology has been used to preserve the Vedas over thousands and thousands of years without mutilation. It's called as Pada, Krama, Jata and Ghana, and they are featured by redundancy, repeated going back and forth of the Padas in the verses, and Upanishads form the quintessence of these Vedas, which is the complete knowledge base, call it the science of Vedas, which forms the basis of all yoga. And these divine hymns of the Vedas are sung in a very special way by the chanters of the Samaveda, and these Sama chanters have a very, very special way of chanting, and that ultimate reality, Brahman, is beyond space, time, causation. It has no beginning nor the end. Even the gods or demons have not been able to fathom it, and though it has not been impossible, it has not been possible for them to fathom, it is possible for the yogis to reach that. It is possible to realize the same by the process of meditation. And therefore, Raja Yoga provides us the techniques of meditation, which leads us to the very source of all thoughts, that is pure silence and pure consciousness, which is the abode of all bliss, knowledge, freedom and power. Having offered our salutations to that all-pervasive reality, which is the Supreme Self, now the verses start introducing the Raja Yoga. Shri Krishna says that we are the maker of our own destiny. We have been given the freedom, we have been given the choice either to make or mar ourselves. If we use this freedom of will, if we use the power of intelligence and discrimination for development, we make. If we misuse, there is deterioration and we mar ourselves. Therefore, as Swami Vivekananda said, man is the maker of his own destiny. If today we are suffering from various problems, if we are suffering from ill health, if we are suffering from different tensions and stresses, it's all our own making. And that is what yoga says. Therefore, it is for us to change ourselves if we want to grow, if we want to overcome these miseries, if we have to reach higher and higher states of bliss, creativity and freedom. What is the way for that? Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga consists of essentially two parts. First, Ashtanga Yoga, the 8-limbed yoga given by Patanjali, and the advanced yoga beyond the Samadhi. In Ashtanga Yoga, there are two parts, one Bahiranga Yoga, another is Antaranga Yoga. Bahiranga Yoga is to gain mastery indirectly. Using indirect techniques to gain mastery over the mind is Bahiranga Yoga. Whereas you directly handle the mind and gain mastery, that is called Antaranga Yoga. So let us start off to understand the Bahiranga Yoga. The Bahiranga Yoga consists of Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama and Pratyahara. Yama and Niyama gives us the set of don'ts and set of do's, what we should not do, what we should do. Asanas are the yogic postures which have become very, very popular, and most people think that yoga means asanas. Pranayama is to gain mastery through the breath. Pratyahara is to gain mastery over the mind through our senses. This is how we use the indirect way to gain mastery over the mind. Gaining mastery over the mind is the objective of Raja Yoga, while Antaranga Yoga consists of Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. Dharana is focusing up the mind, Dhyana the defocusing or meditation, Samadhi is the super consciousness. This is called the Antaranga Yoga, or the direct way to gain mastery over the mind. Now let us take up the first limb, Yama. The Yama gives a set of prohibitions. For any task, for any achievement in our lives, we always have to adhere to certain norms. We have to consciously avoid certain things, and we have to consciously develop certain things. Supposing a student wants to do masters in mathematics, what should he consciously avoid? Spending time for studying history, mathematics, arts, music and so on. And he should consciously develop the particular subject, the mathematics, and avoid all other subjects. Therefore, always there is a set of do's and don'ts. Similarly, to gain mastery over the mind, yogaha chitta vritti nirodha, as Patanjali says, we should follow certain do's and certain don'ts. What we should not do comes under the broad heading of what we call Yama. Yama is a set of prohibitions. What are they? Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. And Ahimsa is non-violence. That means do not be violent. Satya is truth, not to speak the untruth. Non-stealing, celibacy, not to be a slave to sex. Non-possession. And we have to understand that these are the 5 sets of don'ts that Patanjali prescribes. So Yama is not the lord of death, but it is a set of don'ts. In a very special way, Patanjali uses these dimensions. Now when we talk about prohibitions, always there is a question of freedom. People will come and ask, is not Yama contrary to freedom? When you say that you should not do that, you should not do that, you should not do this, then are you not relinquishing the freedom? So we have to understand what is freedom. Freedom is not free flow of the senses and the mind. Generally we think freedom is to allow the senses to go wherever they want. Whatever your mind says, you start doing it. So you come late in the night, and nobody should ask you why you are coming late. And what did you do the whole day? Nobody should question you. This we think generally is freedom. But yoga goes higher than this. trying to question you. Freedom is the freedom from all bondages. And what is the bondage? What is the slavery? Normally, the senses try to go towards their sense objects, and that is the slavery in which we are grasped. Look at the slavery about the mind. Since we get up in the morning till we sleep in the night, our mind is continuously thinking and thinking and thinking, no respite whatsoever. And this is a bigger bondage. We are drawn with lot of emotions. The emotions enslave us. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. The 6 enemies of man. These are the regions of slavery. To overcome these slavery is the real freedom. Therefore, freedom is not free flow of senses or mind or emotions. It is only a slavery to them. So, mastery over them is the real freedom. We have to gain mastery over them. Therefore, freedom is mastery. And how do we gain mastery? How do we get the freedom? Moderation brings mastery. Moderation is the key. And that is what yoga prescribes. And to get that moderation, we go gradually and systematically. Remove all the excesses, eliminate unnecessary aspects, and that is to gain mastery. Natyashnatastu yogosti nachaikantam manashnataha nachati swapnashilasya jagrato naiva charjuna. Said, too much of eating, too much of sleeping, too much of wakefulness, too much in everything is against yoga. Sarvatra ativarjayet. Everywhere remove too much of excesses, it is said. And therefore, it is the moderation that is the key. Therefore, we have to remove the excesses. There should be moderation. And how do we bring this dimension to our life? Somebody said, we have to practice this yama very meticulously. But one of the student comes out and asks, sir, I am a businessman. You know, in business, we cannot just be always truthful. If you say you have to have satya and satya alone, then I cannot practice yoga. So how can I have this satya? It's only a utopia. It's only the idealism. It is not practical. So how do you bring about this yama into practice? Very practical question. Then I told him, all right, sir, now please develop an awareness. In a day, how many times we are speaking untruth? How many untruths we have been speaking? Let us keep a count of them. Let us say maybe about 85. How many untruths are very necessary for my business? Let us count. And you will say, okay, maybe 40 lies are enough. So the remaining 45 very easily we can remove. Yes, that is possible. Then with the practice, you will find that 45 are not necessary, 20 is enough. Some more time lapses, you find only 5 lies are enough for my business. And the awareness takes over and over. Only 1 lie is enough. Finally, you can drop off even that lie. And you will be able to maintain that integrity, honesty and truthfulness and avoid all the untruths. This is how we have to build up. Gradual, systematic, removing excesses, eliminate unnecessary aspects like lies. Finally, realize that lies are unnecessary. We cannot jump into the state of complete truthfulness. Therefore, you build up slowly and gradually. Today, there are large number of industries who operate with absolute integrity and honesty. And it is such industries who have survived on the long range. those industries and businesses which took to the short range perspective and started using the lies and started using dishonest means, such people have collapsed in the long run. They have failed in the competition. Therefore, it is the dictum that Satyameva Jayate. It is always the Satya, the integrity, the honesty that wins in the long run. And therefore, Patanjali is very clear that all these 5 aspects, Ahimsa, Satya, Steya, Brahmacharya, Parigraha, these things have to be brought in slowly, gradually and systematically to our lives. So that is the set of don'ts that we have to do, prohibitions. Then Patanjali is a great psychologist. He knows if you go on telling a child, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this thing, the child will gradually become very rebellious. He will not hear you. Therefore, it is necessary that you should channelize the energies. You have to tell what the child has to do. And that is called niyama. Niyama is the set of do's. Only don'ts cannot create either a happy child, it will cause rebellious children and cause suppression. Therefore, do's are necessary to channelize our energies. Together, yama and niyama give the full approach to bring mastery over the mind. I remember we were conducting the yoga programs in Goa. The parents in the Navy who came to our program, they were very happy. At the end of the 10 days classes there, they come and ask for some counseling. They say, we have 2 kids, youngsters, 1 boy and 1 girl. Both of them were very brilliant boys and girls, but unfortunately when they come home, it is terrible. We cannot control them. They start fighting and quarreling each other. We have been trying to advise them. We have been scolding them and blaming them. And initially, few years back, we were able to hit them and make them quiet. Now they have grown up and we cannot control them physically. We don't know what to do. But they are making good grade. We have no complaint about that at all. The children are good. They have no bad habits. But when they come home, they cannot see eye to eye and they go on quarreling and quarreling. In spite of all our advices, blames and scolds and beating, nothing has happened. So I told them, fine, there is another solution. Have you told them what they have to do? You have been telling them, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this thing. That's fine. But have you told them what they have to do? They started blinking. Then I asked them, do your children like games and playing? Yes, yes. Oh, they love playing games. Do they like reading? Yes, they very much like reading. So I suggested that please bring number of books that have recently come out, the Bharat Bharati series, small books, only 40 to 50 page pocket size books, which gives the life sketches of all great people in our country, the patriots, the scientists, the engineers, the doctors, the technologists, and the spiritual men. A large collection of people, nearly 500 small books have come out, and you just bring and give it to them, let them read and let them see what happens. Then also bring a few games. At that time computer things were not there, computer games. Told them bring chess and drafts and give them. And the very same evening they went, brought all these things and kept. Next evening when they came, they saw something very interesting. Both of them started sitting and then reading, and the problem was solved totally. All their energies now are channelized in reading and in playing. This is what Patanjali says. If you want to control the mind, if you want to gain mastery over the mind, it is not enough you say, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. You must channelize the energies and say what we have to do. Those are the niyamas that we have to do. What are the niyamas? Shaucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. Shaucha is cleanliness, cleanliness outside, cleanliness in our talk, purity and cleanliness at the mind level. Satisfaction, Santosha. Santosha is to be all the time happy. Santosha is to be all the time contented. And this is one of the wonderful facets of yoga. If at all we want to choose one aspect of yoga, it is the Santosha. If we can choose one aspect of yoga, the Santosha, then we achieve fantastic things. As Patanjali says, Santoshat anuttama sukalabaha. You get immaculate bliss by taking to Santosha. Penance. Penance is tapas. To stay put on a single subject you have chosen. Whatever task you take, put all your energies and do not stop until the task is finished. This is penance. You have started going for your bachelor's degree and there are a lot of distractions. You want to leave and probably start a business of your own. No. You have taken to this, complete it. That is penance. It can be a small job, it can be a big job, it can be a big mission in your life. Tapas, tapas, tapas. Penance is the key for success. Difficulties are bound to come, problems are bound to happen, challenges you have to face. Don't run away from problems and challenges and face them and develop an attitude that these are stepstones for our progress. Then the penance will reach you to the greatest heights of achievement. Self-analysis, Swadhyaya. Invariably, we analyze others, we try to understand others, but never ourselves. Therefore, Patanjali says, we must learn to look at ourselves and understand ours. Normally, we find fault with the people around, we find fault with the atmosphere around, we find fault with the nation in which we live, and blame them, criticize them, do everything. But we never think there is anything problem with me, whether there is any imbalance in me, whether there is any inadequacy in me. I don't have that self-analysis habit. We get a lot of patients for asthma in our Prashanti Kutiram campus for treatment through yoga, and invariably most people say that we have got asthma because Bangalore is very bad in terms of pollution, very bad in terms of Parthenium weeds. The Parthenium weeds are responsible for my asthma, and therefore I was thinking that I should leave Bangalore. Always finding fault with the outside. I asked them, all right sir, if Parthenium is responsible for asthma, in Bangalore there are 6 million people, but there is only 5% of people who suffer from bronchial asthma. Why the remaining 95% people do not suffer from asthma? Don't you think that there is a problem with you, with these 5% people? Modern research has shown that there is an internal defect in asthmatics. What is the defect? The bronchi has become oversensitive. Asthma is designated as hypersensitivity of the bronchial caliber. Your parasympathetic nervous system has become overreactive. Parthenium weed is there, but you react violently towards that because you have an oversensitivity of the parasympathetic nervous system. Therefore, it is a defect in you which you have to correct. Most of the Western approaches is to give you medicine, probably to eradicate Parthenium weeds, to clean up the surrounding, and that is the approach that is offered. But yoga offers a totally different thing. Patanjali says, start looking inwards, find out what are your inadequacies, what are your problems, and correct them. See that your parasympathetic nervous system will become normal. Various yoga practices are given for that. and thereby you become normal as other people. That is the self-analysis. Then he says Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara Pranidhana is surrender to ultimate reality. It is to overcome our ego and to learn humility, and that is the surrender to reality. The reality is that all pervasive pure consciousness, that's our original self. It is the abode of all bliss. To recognize that and to surrender ourselves to this all pervasive reality, Ishvara Pranidhana. These are the 5 set of do's, that is impositions that have been given. So yama and niyama has to be done systematically, not with the use of great will or force. Nahatat, nabalat has been the trick in yoga. On the other hand, use intelligence and the subtle operations to bring about the mastery. You have to move from gross to subtle. And the injunction in yoga is slow and steady wins the race. And that is very true in yoga. And yet another speciality of Patanjali has been that each and every path of yoga, particularly every part of yama or niyama, is itself a anga, is itself a path to the ultimate. And he says they are not steps. Some people present it as 8-step procedure. That means first you have to follow yama, then you come to the niyama, then you come to asanas, then you come to pranayama, then you come to pratyahara. Step by step you have to go. Patanjali doesn't suggest this, because by perfecting any one of them, any one of the yamas, in fact, you already reach that ultimate perfection. Therefore, he says that each is a path to the highest. It's a anga, it's a path. For example, he says, Santoshat anuttama sukhalabha, says that by contentment you get unparalleled bliss. Similarly, there were 2 great yoga masters, Naka, Maudgalya. They said, Swadhyaya pravachane yeveti nako Maudgalyaha. Swadhyaya and pravachana, reading and understanding on one front, and teaching others. Learning, teaching, Swadhyaya pravachana, and they were able to reach the great heights. Tapaiti tapo nityah paurushishtihi. Another yoga master, Paurushishti, for him he said it's all tapas, tapas, tapas. My entire life is tapas. And by tapas and tapas alone he reached the highest. Satyamiti satyavacharati tharaha. Atitara said Satya. We have all heard of Harishchandra, who took to the Satya and reached the highest by using the Satya. Therefore, each one of these yama and niyama is itself a path to the divinity that alone can reach us to the highest levels of perfection. That has been the implication of Patanjali. And all are paths to the same goal. Santosha is the one that we can choose very easily. And to be happy all the time alone can reach you to the highest goal. And that's what we have to build. Spread the fragrance of love, fragrance of smile, fragrance of bliss everywhere, and that can contribute to the build-up of ideal social orders. And to be always happy and cheerful is really the yoga. And now Patanjali talks about the very basis of yama and niyama. Yama and niyama, we have to build a congenial atmosphere which is mandatory for success in any work. A science student studying history will not make the mark. A carpenter doing gardening will not achieve his end. Therefore, Yama and Niyama harness the energies of the mind and they reach us to the very source of the mind, the bliss itself. That is the great contribution of Patanjali in bringing Yama and Niyama as the foundation of the whole growth of yoga. The next point that he talks about in Yama and Niyama is that the Yama and Niyama can be followed as a general rule, as a Samanya Niyama or as a Mahavrata. For example, speaking truth is necessary, Satyam Vada and Asatyam Mavada. Please do not speak the untruth, but even when you tell the truth, Priyam Vada. Tell the truth in a palatable way and speak the palatable truth. If it is impalatable, then please do not speak such unpalatable truths. Now the doctor knows his patient is very nervous, but he has picked up cancer, he has got a big tumor, and the patient knows that he is very nervous and he is trembling, but he doesn't know that he is suffering from cancer. The surgeon, his doctor, what should he do? Should he tell that unpalatable truth which is going to harm him more than good? He will just contain himself not to tell him the truth. On the other hand, you say there is some problem and everything will be all right, don't worry, and I am cut open the tumor, everything will be fine. It happened, one of our friends, he was a brilliant boy, he was studying in second year engineering, he developed a tumor in the stomach and the biopsy showed that he is suffering from cancer. Knowing very well the nature of the boy, the doctor told all the family members, please do not tell him that he is suffering from cancer and bring him for a surgery and we will remove it. In all probability, since it is in the initial phases, he may become all right. Everybody adhered to this suggestion and he underwent the surgery. Everything was fine. He went back and it was 5 years. He has completed his engineering. He was working. 5.5 years had passed. He is having normalcy. No symptoms of any more cancer. One day, as he was coming in the street, he met his old friend. After 5.5 years, and he looked at him. Oh, dear Suresh. Suresh says, well, what is the matter? It's so wonderful that we have met after 5.5 years. And the friend says, Suresh, I am really very happy that you are walking in the street and you have good health, isn't it? He says, yes, I am really happy that you overcome your cancer. What? Cancer? Who said I had cancer? Oh, I don't know. 5.5 years, when you were operated on your tumor in that oncology hospital by that so-and-so doctor and surgeon, I was there and I am really very happy that 5.5 years have passed. The normal duration is about 5 years, and since you have crossed 5 years, there won't be any problem and you have overcome cancer. From that day, the boy started thinking, oh, I have cancer, I had cancer, I had cancer, and being very nervous and very timid-hearted, chicken-hearted, he slowly started getting symptoms within about 20 days, and the secondary started spreading, and unfortunately, that boy did not survive more than 4 months. What shall we say for this? That's why Patanjali says, Samanya Niyama, Satyam Vada, Priyam Vada. That which is palatable, that is useful, that will be helpful to the people, you should speak, and not the truth directly. There was a king, many astrologers he consulted, and one of the astrologers came and told, oh king, what a horoscope you have. In front of your eyes, your wife will die, your children will die, and it is a terrible horoscope. The king got very upset, and as it happened at that time, The king put him behind the bars. Then after some time, the second astrologer, same thing. And no astrologer would come very near the king. But there was a very intelligent master astrologer. He comes to the king and he says, "Sir, I want to see your horoscope." And then he starts looking at it. And he says, "King, this is one of the most wonderful horoscope I have ever seen. You have such a long life, unparalleled in the history of your entire parampara. Nobody had such long life as you covet." King was very, very happy. The same truth told palatably. This is called the Samanya Niyama. Satyam vada, priyam vada. You have to put that in a palatable way. Even when you have to tell the truth, you have to see that it will not harm the opponent. This is called the Samanya Niyama. All yama and niyama have to be followed by the groups of common people at large as a Samanya Niyama, as an ordinary law. But there are some specialized experts, some specialized sadhaks who take this as a Mahavrata. Very few people can adhere to the rigors and austerity of this Mahavrata. Many of the Jain sannyasis, Jain monks take to this Mahavrata and they start adhering to that with absolute meticulous accuracy. And for them, no prescription of telling that you have to tell the truth in a palatable way. Truth is truth, and they have to tell the truth. And such people, when they follow the Mahavrata is going to take care of itself. We have the great example of Buddha. He followed the ahimsa, and everywhere, under any circumstances, ahimsa was away. The whole atmosphere was charged with ahimsa. Ahimsayam pratisthayam tat sannidhau vairatyagaha. The violence and the hate has gone from the midst around the Buddha because he followed ahimsa as a Mahavrata. And what a miracle! The treacherous of a Angulimala, he had knocked off 99 heads, the biggest murderer in the forest, and each time he knocks off the head, he cuts one thumb and makes a garland out of it. That's how the name Angulimala. 99 heads, 99 thumbs. Now he wants the last head, the 100th. And this time the prescription is to get the great siddhi, the great power. This should be the head of a king or that of a sannyasi. And now he starts looking around. Naturally, I cannot ask for the head of a king. Therefore, the best thing is probably to catch hold of a sannyasi. And here was Buddha, the embodiment of love, embodiment of non-violence. He thought, if I go and ask Buddha, certainly he will give me his head. With all full confidence, he starts moving towards Buddha. And as he starts approaching Buddha, as he reaches the vicinity, the aura of Buddha of non-violence soothes his mind, calms down his emotions, and his treacherous, murderous tendencies have started reducing. By the time he reached Buddha, all his murderous tendencies have almost vanished. His mind is in a very congenial atmosphere, and it was given to Buddha to ask him, "All right, my dear, you want my head, you can certainly take it, no problem. But please tell me, what are you going to get? You are going to get a big power, you are going to get big siddhi. For what? To knock off 1,000 more heads? On the other hand, will it give you the permanent happiness? Is it going to give you the immense peace? Please tell me, please think." And such counsel completely transforms the murderers of a Angulimala into the greatest of the disciple of Buddha. And that is the power of ahimsa. That is the power of non-violence. That is the power of a Mahavrata. Therefore, Patanjali prescribes for each of these yama and niyama, the Mahavratas, and the corresponding gain such a person can get. Satya pratisthayam Sarvaratnopasthanam. By following the path of integrity, by following the Satya, you can get at the very source of the diamonds, he says. And all the 10 Yama, Nema, when it is taken as a Mahavrata, he prescribes what are the results. Therefore, as normal people, we follow Yama, Nema as Samanya Niyamas. But a very, very few people can take to this as a Mahavrata and get the highest gains. From Yama, Niyama, now we come to the third, the asanas. The third limb of Bahiranga Yoga is asana. Then we have the pranayama, the pratyahara. And each one of them take us to the ultimate bliss, freedom, that is the reality, that is the abode of all knowledge and power. And the third limb of Yama, Niyama is asana. Asana is a physical posture. It is the third limb of Patanjali. That's also called Yogasanas. And in this verse, Krishna gives the whole essence or principles of asanas. Shucho deshe pratisthapya sthirapasanam atmanah natyuchritam nati nicham chailajina kushottaram, says. That having firmly fixed in a clean place, Shucho deshe pratisthapya, choose a clean place, and his seat neither too high nor too low. To perform the asanas, you should not be too much down, nor should you be staying up. Then, having spread over it the kusha grass, a deer skin and a cloth, one over the other, and that is the preparation of for the asana. And having chosen such a place, then you stay there, and what is to be done? You have to fix your position, stay put without movement. Sthira sukham asanam, that's how Patanjali defines. And what is the purpose of asanas? Yogasanas or physical postures use the body to gain health and to master the mind. What is the whole key essence of asanas? The key is to stretch and relax. So, every time we stretch a muscle and then relax, stretch and relax, stretch and relax. Each and every group of muscles have to be stretched and relaxed. And that is the asana way, that is the whole essence of the asanas. When we look at large number of different schools of asanas, we find that there are two major schools, and one we can call as the dynamic asana school, the second the relaxing asanas. The way they perform differ totally. The yogic postures are practiced with speed, jerk and repetition, whereas in the other school there is stretch and relax, there is slowness and there is maintenance. And these two schools differ so much that always there has been a big quarrel between the two schools, and both are headed by the big masters, and one of the school starts criticizing the other with almost as venom. They say, what are you practicing? How can you call it as asanas or yoga? You are doing it as a drill, you are doing with a repetition, you are doing with a speed, and it is nothing but physical exercise, and you can't call it as physical exercise. You can't call it as yoga, you can't call it as yogasanas, but it is just physical exercise. While the other group, the dynamic school, criticize this school, what type of yoga do you do? You are going slowly, you are full of lethargy, laziness and tamas, you are almost drowsy, and you go there and stay there. You say relax, relax, relax. It's all tamas, it's all laziness, it's all lethargy. This cannot be yoga. Yoga should be full of dynamism, yoga should be full of energy, full of vitality. And the quarrel went on and on, and it's very, very unfortunate that such things happen. And it was the time to find out what is the reality. The teachers in both the schools had trained thousands and millions of people all over the world, and a time had come when we had to find out what is the real implication, which is correct, which is wrong, which is really yoga, which is not really yoga. Therefore, we went into the depth, we conducted a lot of research, studied in great detail each and every system that is prevalent. We went around the whole country, studied all types of yoga practices that were being done, particularly the asana practices, and identified finally the essence. What is the result we got? What is the outcome of this research? We found both the schools are yoga, and both the schools have their own specialization, and both the schools have their role to play. Let us see how. The dynamic asanas with speed, with jerk and repetition is essentially promoted as a Hatha Yoga school, and the purpose of that is to blast open the tamas, the laziness, lethargy, the stagnation, and the tamas, ignorance, have to be shattered, and that needs the jerk, that needs the repetition. So every asana that is performed here, we ask how many times you are going to do the asanas. You are going to bend forward Padahastasana, you are going to go backwards Ardha Chakrasana, how many times you are going to repeat, how fast you are going to do, and how much of jerk you are going to put in it. All these things are counted, and these things are necessary to shatter our tamas, the laziness and drowsiness which is inherently present in all of us. Therefore, this dynamic school caters to shatter the tamas. Whereas the second school, often called as the Patanjali school, relaxing asanas, in which you go and perform the asanas very slowly and allow the muscles to slowly stretch, stay in that position, maintain and relax each and every group of muscle. And this is exactly contrary to the other. What is the role? It is here that we overcome the rajas. The modern society is full of rajas, and rajas is the speed. The mind is very fast, there is outburst of energy coming out, the body is all the time in speed and rush, full of anxiety, full of stress. In such a condition, what is to be done? You have to calm down the mind, you have to control the rajas, you have to channelize the energies, and that is what the second system of asanas does. So these are the relaxing asanas, and that's what Patanjali has prescribed. He says that start doing the practices very slowly, very gently, very smoothly, effortlessly, and all the injunction for that has been given, and that shatters the rajas. Therefore, if the first school shatters the tamas and raises high, the second school shatters the rajas and takes us towards sattva and to the higher levels. Having understood these two basic schools, now we go over to the classification of asanas. How do we classify asanas? Generally, there are the standing postures, the sitting postures, the prone and the supine postures, apart from topsy-turvy postures. This is one way of classification. All those postures which are done in the standing come under the standing posture. As the name indicates, those asanas which are done in the sitting posture. Then prone is lying down on the abdomen and do the practices. That is the prone posture. The supine posture is lying down on the back and doing the practices. Look at some of these. This is the set of Surya Namaskar postures, and in this Surya Namaskar essentially you have the standing postures. In this standing posture there is side bending, the back bending, the front bending, side bending postures here, and these are all standing postures. While this is the set of sitting postures, the Vajrasana, Paschimottanasana, the Shashankasana, Supta Vajrasana, Ardha Matsyendrasana, all sitting postures. and this will continue with little more complicated advanced postures. Then you come to the prone postures, lying on the abdomen. This is Ekapada Shalabhasana, and this is Dvipada Shalabhasana or Shalabhasana, the locust pose, and we have the Dhanurasana. Dhanurasana is the bow posture, and these are all the supine postures, the famous Shavasana. So you lie down on the back and do the postures. So this is how the postures have been classified, and we have to understand that these asanas are meant essentially to build about our personality, and we know that by doing such practices of asanas we will be able to elevate. Yet another way of classification is the posture of relaxation, the postures which are meditative, postures which are cultural. Those postures which bring relaxation is called relaxation postures, mainly the Shavasana, the Fondasana of many people, and the Makarasana, the crocodile posture, are the two postures which are called relaxation postures. While the Padmasana, the Siddhasana, the Vajrasana, sitting, are the meditative postures. By assuming postures like this, the Padmasana, in which you cross leg, take the leg and put one above the other, the lotus pose, then the spine becomes erect and it brings the balance and is very congenial for meditation. Therefore, these asanas are called meditative postures. All the remaining postures are called cultural postures. These cultural postures are meant to essentially culture our personality. For example, there are people who are very shy, and when you look at these children, their shoulders will be drooping forward and always they have a sunken face and the head down. They are very shy in nature. The personality is essentially shy. And what is to be done for them? You have to build up their personality. You have to bring confidence in them. The diffidence has to be shattered. The shy nature has to be changed. They should become bold and dynamic. So for that, the prescription is all back bending postures. Give them the Bhujangasana, the cobra posture, the Ardha Chakrasana, standing, bending backwards, Supta Vajrasana. When you start giving them, their postures will start changing, and that will feed back to the mind. The mind starts changing. There is a change in the personality. Similarly, there are other type of children and other people who are born A-type. They are always very egoistic, and they are go-getters, and they are terribly ego-centered people. And if you look at their physics, they are always tight with the shoulders back and head up, and they come up. For such people, humility has to be brought, their personality has to be properly developed. For that, we give the front bending postures. Paschimottanasana, Shashankasana, front bending Padahastasana. When these people are given the front bending posture, the ego, the A-type personality, all come under control, and there is going to be a wonderful blossoming personality. Therefore, every asana has been so made to build the personality in its totality in a wonderful balance, and therefore they are called cultural postures. Therefore, we have relaxation postures, meditative postures, and cultural postures. That is the classification of asanas. So in the next session, we will go to understand the deeper dimensions of yogic postures as to how it brings tranquility to the mind. Thank you.